I'm Mary Hearst, buyer for Bloomingdales.com. Sorry, I just totally forgot.
Okay.
Where did I graduate from?
Where did I graduate from?
Mary Hearst, buyer for Bloomingdales.com, graduate of Stonehill College.
Do that one again.
Mary Hearst, buyer for Bloomingdales.com, graduate of Stonehill College. One more time.
No.
Stonehill, starting from day one until I graduated, and maybe even starting from the time that I actually looked at Stonehill and how it differentiates itself from all of colleges and universities, is that Stonehill is really personal. It's a personal experience. And while I think that other colleges and universities, everyone has a great experience at their own institution, Stonehill really looked at personalizing your experience. It was sort of like create your own life for 4 years, and it allowed you to do that. And while I think that other colleges and universities allow you or aim to doing that, there's not the personalization level on top of that to help that student. So while every 18-year-old goes to college and says, I want to create my own life and create my own personal experience at college, what Stonehill does for you is that it grabs you out and says, not only do you want that, but we're going to help you do that. And while we help you do that, we are going to foster this community of your own life and make sure that it's the greatest that we can do for you. And I think that when you dig down to that level, that's where it differentiates itself from different colleges and universities. And, you know, just in my own personal experience, you know, I wanted to go to a college, find a close-knit group of friends, and sort of have a great major where I was really thrilled about what I was learning. And from there, also be involved in everything from sports to student government. You know, that's very much who I was as a person. And that was made for me. You know, the start of student government and then intramural soccer and then, you know, the art history major was huge for me. I loved everything that I did in art history. But that experience was for me. My best friend at college, she was involved in education and science and soccer as well, and then she was a fine arts major and a studio arts major rather, and her experience was absolutely different. Then I had another close friend who hers was all about becoming a PA one day, and hers was all science-based and lots of science, and you know, and hers was absolutely different than mine. Then I had another friend who was interested in healthcare and never played a sport in her life, so she was healthcare and she worked in admissions for fun. So we all had absolutely a complete different experience, but we all managed to still be friends with one another. And I think that's what differentiates itself from many different colleges, is that it allows you to sort of become whatever person that you want to become, and they were going to help you create that own schedule for 4 years.
You just nailed it. Thank you.
I think we have about 8 commercials here.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yes.
You mentioned also, I think, did you go to, was it London?
I went to London
Abroad?
For my study abroad.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, London was probably one of the best experiences that I had at Stonehill. I actually met my best friend. She was my roommate when I was in London. She lives in California, and she is absolutely my best friend in the world. And basically, my parents were very big proponents on sending my brothers and I abroad. And when we were choosing where to go, I had chosen London with the help of Professor Kalo, who helped me choose my thesis, which was going to be on the Victoria Albert Museum in London. It was an excellent time. I went because I wanted to get an experience that was different than Stonehill, where I went to the largest university in London, University College London, because I wanted to see what was I missing out there. You know, what were all of the big universities, what were those students getting elsewhere? And while it was a great experience, the best thing was coming back to Stonehill. And while I loved everything about my experience abroad and the traveling and whatnot, as a school, I loved the small, intimate experience that I had with the professors as opposed to the big experience that I had in London. But I wouldn't trade London for the world.